Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Where are you coming from?
I'm in the States over here in Ohio.
Okay. You know, do you know there's one Easy that works with Clay Nation? Have you heard of her?
What's her, Izzy? For Clay Nation, no?
Yeah, yeah. I used to see your profile around, and I thought it was her, but then I realized it's nothing to do at all.
Hey, but Clay is the way, though.
Yeah, great project.
Absolutely.
I'm admitting a lot more
Hi there.
people to join. Hey, everyone. Nice to see you. Welcome. Ciao. Glad you can make it. I'm just going to allow like 3 minutes or something or 5 for people to join. We're expecting up to 16 people, and I'm very excited about all the signups. But yeah, before we jump in, I wanted to just say hi again. Davide, you weren't able to speak yesterday. It's great to see you. Could you remind me what was the platform that you built the SDK for, the Cardano SDK?
Yeah, it's an SDK for the Maker API for the Godot game engine.
Okay.
Godot is pretty valuable now. It's improved a lot in the last years, and now is being used by a lot of developers in the gaming world. It's gaining a lot of market share, taking it from Unity, that they had a quite bad decision in the past few years. And while they did that, Godot improved a lot and managed to get in pair with a lot of features for this engine. So now there is this strange situation where Unity is sitting between Godot and Unreal, and
Okay.
it's getting crushed by those two new giants.
Okay. So I'm making notes on Miro already. So that's versus Unreal and
Unity.
Unity. Thanks.
Problem.
So hello, Rafaela, Roberto, Harsha, everyone. We're just allowing a couple more minutes for everyone to join before we dive in. Yesterday we had an X space already. We went on about the proposal for like 40 minutes. But for example, I was aligning with Rafaela afterwards, and it's a bit too unstructured for me. It's not my weapon of choice to facilitate sessions, because it's harder when there's no joint view of what's being discussed. So today we're going to have a more organized, I hope, session, and we have a lot more people as well on the call, which is very, very good to see. So I'm not sure, while we allow a couple more minutes, if anyone else wants to jump in and introduce themselves. We've met Roberto yesterday, and we also have Paulo here, who was Arapuk yesterday on X. I see Sudo, Mr. E yesterday. Who else? Baudouin, bienvenue, Baudouin. J'espère que tu arrives à nous comprendre.
Oui, oui, je vais m'efforcer d'entendre et de comprendre. Merci.
Baudouin is from the African side of Cardano, and we've met in a number of spaces. My French is a joke, but I try to make do. But yeah, great to see you here. If anytime, just raise your hand and jump in. So who else? I think Rafael was from Gen Wealth speaking with us yesterday. I'm not sure if he can make it. I just DM'd him. For now, I'm openly nagging everyone on DMs because it is just, as we're going to discuss, this initiative is just one thing that's in a cell of Cardano, and so we need to reach out to neighbor cells. But let's see how it goes. Okay, so we've allowed 5 minutes. I think we're going to jump in. I'm going to start sharing my screen and take you through things. So in a nutshell, And also, I've spoken with people from 45B's side, professionals that we want to onboard to Cardano with this project, designers, and that kind of profile. So we're going to have a lot of people seeing this asynchronously. So I'm also going to be speaking to them. So just to recontextualize things for them, this is a Catalyst-funded proposal in Cardano, where basically we want to help improve the UI UX, the design, and the product management, especially the first two of Cardano projects. For that, we put in this proposal that's going to be composed of spaces or calls, a bit like this one, although this one is the main project kickoff, so it's not necessarily just a work session. So we're going to have a number of those calls open to the public throughout the duration of the proposal. And then I should say project, right? Because it's funded now, it's no longer a proposal. Then we are going to create a portal, which is going to be interesting. It's basically the place where we can drop and share any knowledge that we work on the discussions and on the interventions. It's like a glue between everything. And then the sort of main goal, where it can be more of benefit to specific projects, is the specific interventions that we're going to be doing within projects. So also, I think it's a good point to mention that this was inspired by this thing that exists on Bitcoin. It's literally just bitcoin.design. The portal that I was talking about is going to be design.45b. So it's a subdomain of our website. And you can see here that they have example wallets. For example, how do you represent Satoshis and a whole Bitcoin? Try to create this notion of, for example, in our case, what is a Lovelace versus ADA? And in their case, they also allude to bits, which is an intermediate unit. They have a number of design guides, and they have as well some tooling, or sorry, it's what they mean here as projects. So as we work on those on the portal side, this is where we're going to be coming for inspiration. Maybe if we work on some project that can fork and derive something like this, it could be an option. On 45B, we also have like this initiative to do t-shirts. So we've worked a lot with the digitals. Maybe a resources set would be something with the logos of Cardano that we could add to that portal. But yeah, I just wanted to be open in saying what inspired this proposal was basically this portal. And I was literally in Prague with the makers of this. They're very open people. Eventually, we could even, I was going to say talk to them, but Bitcoiners don't usually talk with anyone else from other chains. But while I was in the Bitcoin conference, in that context, they were very receptive to talk about this project. Okay, so my personal commitment is to fly you over this whole thing in like 15 minutes. So just to give you the quadrants of this, and then allow up to like 40 more minutes, so complete 1 hour of work session or discussion. So just broadening the scope a bit further, this is one project that 45B has funded currently. We also have another project which is about onboarding non-technical users. Rafaela was there, Anselmo, Tara, who was someone that may join this call. And it's really interesting because we're approaching non-technical business owners to discuss business models and how they can include Web3 in their business models. And also on the voluntary side, or initiatives or tentative projects, we have this Grassroots in Touch initiative. We have facilitated, and I've worked on a number of fronts around Cardano governance. And I'm also working as a Catalyst milestone reviewer and doing community reviews. This, among other things, networking at large in the community for 3 to 4 years now. So I've started by introducing this design project in the Catalyst after Catalyst Town Hall breakout room. That's passed. Today, we're going to focus on this yellow outline, which is something Rafaela was very smart to suggest that we do, like have a top to bottom. This is what I'm going to be taking you over. But before jumping into the outline of today, Eventually, what I'm going to ask you is to, this call to action to promote this initiative with anyone that you think could benefit from it, DMing it. For now, we have this landing page, the link tree for 45B, where everyone can go to, and I'm sure you'll get oriented with just this simple short link. I'm going to be creating a number of other things to follow up on the project, but for now, if you could start raising awareness to this, it would be great. That's, in short, the milestone where we are, the kickoff, and the first and two milestones are just about gathering things and raising awareness to it. So although I'm racing through things, I'm just trying to be practical. Don't hesitate to raise your hand or jump in if you have any question to my points, okay? So one side note in terms of context to this project, like I said, I've been around for 4 years. I've started with Gimbal Labs and learned how they'd run the calls. Then I went to Maestro. I did my own internal things where I was a developer experience person there. And currently what we have is Intersect, Catalyst. The Catalyst network is basically a Telegram chat with some support that's provided to projects. There are some other funded projects like Storm, for example, giving legal orientation, not advice, I would say. I was awarded with that support as well. So it's non-binding type of legal orientation. And then there's a number of people, like I can think of Tevo, for example, who's everywhere supporting everyone he can. But often what I felt with this kind of initiatives being, for example, in the open source committee, is that it becomes extremely bureaucratic and some may argue unproductive, or you try to eat the world and create a strategy for the world, well, where without acknowledging that you're just a group of 5 people that came together in that committee. And we could see that, for example, with the growth and marketing committee that was reinvented several times. And I want to be open, like I've worked in associations for 20 years with music and a number of different groups, and we need to be frank about it's just a group of people that met, they tried to do their best, and they're going to create something to pass forward, pass on to whoever wants to pick it up and inspire from it. So this is basically what I just said. We aim to be hopefully a bit better and more fast-paced facilitation without trying to eat the world, to benefit the cohorts that are here, benefit the people that are participating throughout the project. We're going to try to have more like 3 more formal cohorts of people that are awarded with the interventions, but mainly, to rotate people and to benefit them and to pass on some knowledge that we persist through the portal. So yeah, like I've been saying, participant engagement must be nurtured. That's why I'm always in your DMs, and I will be as long as you don't ban me or something like that. We really encourage you to be as interventive as necessary, because without you, this is just a presentation, and I really don't want that. There we have too much of that in like I remember calls that were organized for so many different topics where people are just watching and don't really get to brainstorm things. That's why I'm sort of racing you into the concept here. Also, the last point here touches on your biases, or acknowledging that because we are ourselves, we have our own biases that derive from our principles, and it's a bit of a triangle here of what influences what. But I just wanted to touch on, at 45B, we like to focus on Web3, not DeFi, because we believe, like in sound money, that you can just hold and don't go and chase yield, don't get money to work for you. So I know a lot of people can do it, and we also do it in a way, but that's not our core. We believe in intuitive products that are technically transparent. So don't hide everything from the user, make it a collapsible or something like that, and learn by using it when the user really wants to unfold those kinds of UIs. And real world utility, which is basically have products that are organically shared as solutions to real world problems. So don't just try to create things within our bubble. We want to focus on the outside world. So I'm going to invite you, if you want, you can get to this Miro board by simply going to 45b.io and scroll down. You'll see it here. And as you get in there, if you don't have access to edit, just click the top right button for that, and I'm ready to approve your edit permission as soon as I get them. Okay, just point it out in the call. And
Which link is it, Pedro?
so it's just this more about 45B. It links you to the Miro board at the end of the team section. Okay, by the way, we're going to be talking about this in a moment. Currently, 45B has no full-time employees apart from myself, and I am like an overtime voluntary employee. I've been for a number of years. And so our concept is, so you have Paolo here, who's in the call. We have Anselmo, who's also here. And, you know, a lot of these people have helped on a number of projects that we've done, namely the ones you can see in this video here, in these, especially this one. But so the concept of the proposal will be to use these mostly as ad hoc professionals, including Rafaela, for example, to deliver the interventions that we spec for you guys. Is everyone oriented in terms of the Miro board?
I'm there already.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I just got there.
I guess
Cool.
that maybe if I can share a bit of what I discussed yesterday with Lucas.
Yep.
On my side, I am a data engineer, also with a background in law and compliance. So some of the projects that touch base on things like trust and compliance are really interesting to me. I would love to work with maybe one of you founders who have an interesting topic on engineering or trust that I could think about or contribute in any way. And then we can also align that in the 45B umbrella for future projects. And please feel free, maybe I can put my LinkedIn somewhere here.
Yeah,
or in
here, for example.
Yeah, okay.
Just link it in here.
Feel free to reach, because yesterday I heard about your projects and many of them were really interesting, but I was a bit confused about like, what was the ask? If any of you have maybe a critical or a clear demand that I could help, it would be a lot easier for me to figure it out if I can or cannot contribute to your projects.
Great stuff. Yep. We're going to be talking about one opportunity, for example, that we identified for Rafaela with Andamio. Yesterday we spoke on X, but yeah, that's a bit like we can sponsor from this proposal, Rafaela, for example, to do a mystery client on trying Andamio's endpoints, the API, and improve its developer experience. But then if they want to do a bigger project or something like that, maybe that would be a direct relationship between Rafaela and Andamio without, or, you know, with some facilitation, but not necessarily with 45B involved. So this is a bit, if you can see here, the same people and a few others are represented here from our side. And you can see there's a number of, I'm sorry they're so small here, but most of these people are already in line with 45B. Some, for example, Marco is a Cardano SPO, and we could use him for some development. But yeah, basically, some of them are being onboarded. Some are already very native to Cardano. It's just going to be a mixed bag. But we're very proud to be helping these professionals find their career opportunities within Cardano. Okay.
I just requested editing access so I can fill out
Cool.
some of the
Yes.
Solidity stuff.
Let me just come over, and hopefully we'll be on my other screen. I never know what account I need because I use a number of free accounts, and never know which account is the owner of stuff. Bear with me a second. Does anyone want to share any thoughts while we're here?
If you could just accept that editing request, I'll get
That's
to
what I'm
filling
on.
out that section. That's
Yeah,
it.
I was doing it on my other screen here.
My
Cool.
bad, boss.
Yeah. So okay, coming back. So I think we've gone over the context and we've let this part clear here. I would be curious, you know, to invite you to do this kind of exercise to declare a bit your values and what your projects stand for, because I think it could be interesting to contrast and where we align and where we can complement each other. Okay. But then, yeah, moving on, we have the proposal and the milestones right here. I was just copying the high-level outputs. I'm assuming everyone is fairly familiar with the structure of Catalyst proposals. If we go to the main, where do you see the, yeah, proposal text, you can have a look on your own time for how things are being detailed, and keep me honest in terms of coming back to what is being promised here. But day to day, we're more focusing on what was specified in each milestone here. It's a very short and straightforward thing. So here, that's what we are doing, raising awareness, and we're going to be, I'm literally going to create the design.45b.io landing page in the coming hours, so I can submit the milestone actually. And so that would be milestone 1 done. And then milestone 2, we're basically just going to run more sessions to focus on discussing UI UX on Cardano. Mature the knowledge base means literally at least add one of the articles. So here we're going to be outlining the articles that are going to be within the content structure. That's what I'm going to be doing for the knowledge base today. And then here we start adding content to it and define a list of projects. So it would be batch number 1 of projects to be benefited with UI UX interventions. And the rest of the milestones are basically the same. Open hours, knowledge base, and define a list for the next cohort and deliver for the previous cohort. So it's very straightforward structure for the milestones. Okay, I have added this. I'm going to put it to the side, but before moving on, I've added a section here, which is a transposition of everything that I just showed you, in case we want to drop stickies somewhere for suggestions or something that we may add to that scope. Okay, so that was this point here. In terms of presenting our team and partners, we've already seen a bit. So basically, these 2 points are the solution providers and the people that may have problems that we may be able to address. So on the solution provider side, we have the team that I was just showing you. You can see it on the website and on the Miro board. We're, like I said, onboarding talent from Cardano as needed. If anyone else wants to jump in, a bit like Rafaela did, we have Anselmo on the call, who's a video capturing and editing professional with 20 years experience. That may align a bit with what's being done in the media sector by Solidity and by Mr. E, the pseudoscientist. So many names for him. So, Anselmo, do you want to say hi?
Yes, hello, I'm Anselmo. Pedro has already introduced me better than I ever could. So basically, I'm more in the video capturing and editing. Thank you for writing. So I don't know what I can do here. Basically, in the more of the motion graphics aspect of the how can I say it, of the
Of work?
of work, yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's see.
Cool. I really invite you to take a look at the videos he did here because it's amazing. Even for some events, I go there, I capture some things with my phone, and then he does his as a witchcraft, and everything is jumping around, and so sometimes for any of your projects, if you can capture some bits of events, it could be really great to have them presented like this. For example, in this event, if he wasn't there, I would just be telling you the story. And in this case, I have this great video to show of how the day went. Okay, Paulo is also in the call. I'm not sure if you want to say hi. I'm just going to write here. Graphic design.
Yeah, I'm basically the graphic designer, UX UI as well. I've been working as a freelance for the past few years, and I've I've known Lucas for a little bit now, and we have been sort of together on this Web3 journey, blockchain journey, and I'm looking forward to his project for a while now, right? We've been on this for a little bit.
Actually, we started by ideating this together when we were coming from Lisbon from a crypto event, right?
Yeah.
So, thanks, Paulo. By the way, he did our logo, which is sort of it's a joke from my side because this is how I usually pitch it. This was my customer draft to him, and this is what he came back to me with, you know. And so it was really fun to discuss with him how we would adopt one or the other. And now with Anselmo, we've been discussing how we can do different coloring or you know, fine tuning things a bit. So I'm just gonna move on because we're almost half the time already. So yeah, there's a number of other people that we can involve. I'm gonna leave it at that. And coming back here, in terms of partners, we need to update this section here as well. I was just adding these yellow stickies today. So from back in the day, you were aligning even with Little Fish, who just was like 2022 or something like that. There's Portuguese lawyers that work globally with crypto. Obviously, Gimbal Labs, where I started, Mesh.js, Maestro, where I worked. And then I'm adding here Andamio. Roberto is in the call again, not to him. Thanks for sticking around. Now, by the way, we should talk about Roberto. I'm not sure if you have any feedback regarding what I suggested to you.
No, not right now.
Not for now. Okay, let's keep in touch. I just wanted to touch on this now because I understand you need to leave in a minute, right?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay, so
couple
we'll
minutes,
be in
yeah.
touch about this possibility, or you get back to us, please, around the possibility of Rafaela working within Andamio as a mystery client to test and help improve your API's developer experience. Okay.
Yeah, of course. That would be great.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, just to close here, obviously you know Blink Labs, which is related with Pragma, TXPipe as well, Andamio, like we just spoke. Marlow is something that we've worked in the Web3 workshops, which were initially motivated. They were Marlow workshops, but as you know, Marlow is not 100% working currently. Cheers, Roberto. See you soon. There's Eda Labs, there's Lido Nation. Darlington said he was going to be here. I'm not sure, but how it's going for him. But eventually, we would love to collaborate with Lido Nation as well. And that's it for us. In terms of projects, if anyone in the room wants to introduce themselves a bit better, this is the time, just as a starting of the project. But yeah, the main goal is for us to brainstorm and identify where we can help you. think maybe everyone's is covered so far. Okay. Now, the rest of the session, we maybe like start having more interaction, where we just wanted to go into these 3 pillars of the project and get your input, or show you a bit further detail for each of the pillars. And the rest is just basically for you to give us feedback on what we may be missing, and us asking you to help promote the project. Okay. So zooming out, we've covered this bit here. And if we go into the 3 pillars of the project, they are here. So for spaces and calls, I mentioned before, right? We have links.45b.io, which is basically a router to our link tree. And so we're going to have these open hours, which is we're going to be the regular spaces that we're going to host. Probably I'm going to use the spaces, short spaces, to raise awareness, and actual Google Meets for working sessions. And the place that you should subscribe to be notified whenever we schedule more of those is this Luma link. We have 2 Luma calendars. One is the main online one-off events, and this would be the one for your regular calls. So that's the open hours calendar. I don't have the button here for subscribe, but you should be able to find it. Okay. So here in the past, we've organized a number of what was our bread and butter, which is onboarding non-technical people, open sessions, talking about governance. And it's been parked for a while, but this is basically the calendar where we organize those kinds of recurring sessions. Okay. So one thing that we're going to start doing here is to go into everything that was spoken in the proposal, and I'm going to add in here to capture topics from the initial X space, because we've spoken a lot, and I made a lot of notes on my text file, but we should start to identify that kind of backbone of content and topics to cover. Is there anything else that is jumping in your mind in terms of topics that we should be discussing in these calls?
Yeah, I would just say that maybe they would benefit from having a little bit of a structure. So, you know, who is in the group and how do you introduce yourself, even like to just show how you can collaborate. So having like a clear output. Also, which milestone are we in now? M5 or M final?
No, we are currently in the first one.
Oh, in the first one. Okay.
Yeah. So this is where we are. I just put in here. This is just a quick.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you had already submitted. So I'm adding 3 ideas of projects that I'm gonna add at the bottom of where you are right now. For things that are maybe they're not specifically designed, but they are like this system design. I tried to see if there were projects that were similar in the Bitcoin design, but I didn't find things that are more related to the analytics. But for example, I need to open this box, but for example, wallet behavior analytics would basically creating visualizations of patterns that happen in the Cardano network. Something similar to what I did to the project that I sent you, but on a bigger scale.
Yeah. But
would that make sense or no?
Well, it is an interesting topic, but the thing is, with this proposal, we can do thought experiments about things that could be built. But this this proposal is mostly about discussing and supporting projects that already exist. We wouldn't have a specific budget to build our own project, you know. So the goal is to support projects that exist in the ecosystem.
Yeah. But for example, I'm thinking we build like POCs, and for example, this wallet behavior analytics, I can build a POC of the pipeline
Mm-hmm.
that other companies, wallets, things like that could also use.
Okay.
Does that make sense or no? Would that be inside of the budget?
It would not be something that I could put into this scope and this budget, like I said, because the budget is basically to organize the calls, to do the background work, and to do the interventions and the knowledge base. So you see, from these three pillars, what the most we can see is, like I said, you're being onboarded by 45B, but like everyone else in the call and in the ecosystem, if you call this your project, you know, we are here to help you, and you would be, you know, so let's see how we mature those ideas. Apart from the project, I'm very happy to discuss things with you. And the reason I'm opening this, and you were on some of these calls as well, which is the other like public facing side of 45B, just for everyone, and to give you context on what we've done with this first cohort. This one was in Portuguese because Rafael is Brazilian, and you know we had a lot of learners there. What we've done here is we took him over like almost 30 hours and a number of sessions. This is all just sessions with topics for us to go over. And we had, in the end of the course, each learner did sort of like a thought experiment project where Tara did a game, Hugo did agricultural tracing, Fabio did sports tracking for students. This guy looked at prediction markets with my help a bit. And I'm bringing this up because in the case of Manuel, he has a career in banking. He's a programmer team manager in a global bank. So what I aimed Manuel to was going from the basic Cardano wallet, like Vesper, to understand how the portfolio holdings are shown within a wallet, and then explore a bit more tap tools, for example. Does this kind of portfolio profits and loss type of analysis? And then we went into Coinly and all other applications that do crypto extracts for crypto reporting. And then we came to, like, these are more corporate type of solutions. And we got to the CF, Cardano Foundation's project and product called Reeve that allows companies to publish their balance sheet on chain. You know, so I'm just showing you a bit the branching out of all these solutions that we've covered that can sort of relate with what you were talking about. And also, I think I wanted to paint this picture for everyone else in the call about what we're ideating with learners from our Web3 initiative. So let's keep an eye on this idea, Rafaela.
Okay, but let's say this project from Manuel, would that be inside what we're trying to achieve here, or no?
Well, Manuel's route currently is that he, as an IT person, is going to specialize in using Reeve. I'm going to introduce him to CF, and we're not necessarily going to be working for him. We're just orienting him into Cardano. Okay.
Okay.
So he's already a consultant, an IT consultant that didn't know Web3. Now that he does know a bit more about everything, I showed him the metadata that goes into transactions, everything else. And so now he's more able to learn how to use Reeve, network with Cardano Foundation, and from there on be a trusted implementer. If CF has a customer in Portugal or in any Portuguese-speaking country, they can reach Manuel to be the person that's implementing that company's solution. Okay.
Okay. So likewise, if I have an idea, you could introduce me to people.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand. Yeah.
So what I feel is important for you as being onboarded to the ecosystem is that when you start conceptualizing this project, you already do a market research for everything else that I was showing you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to learn how to use the wallets and the dashboards and all those things, because I feel that there may be a lot of overlapping here. And eventually what we could do is sort of groom you to put in a catalyst proposal.
How would that be structured? So exactly like what you showed in Manuel's. what is the goal, the market research, what things intersect with Cardano Foundation's projects?
Well, we would need to work this, Rafaela, this initiative basically falls outside of today's project. So we would need to continue maturing this conversation outside of today's call, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'm just managing everyone's time, I'm sorry. But Drew, continue to mature these ideas and we're gonna be aligning about them for sure. Okay, guys, I'm just going to come back to this. So we were just discussing topics to talk on the calls, and I feel like there's some overlap or a lot of overlap between what we're going to be discussing in the calls and what we want to add into the portal. So I'm going to liaise these 2 points in showing you the next one, which is the portal. Inspiring on the Bitcoin.design content, for example, we have here orientation about things like login or connect. So what's the difference for a user between creating an application where you log in with an email password or connect with a wallet? In some solutions in Cardano, like Book.io, you log in with a Cardano wallet, but they create an Algorand wallet for you and all that. And these wallets are like half custodial because they generated them. So this is one thematic that I think could be interesting for us. So like I said, it's going to be shared, what we discuss in the Spaceit and what we end up putting in the portal. So now, in light of this kind of outline, is there anything else that you see for both the actions? Basic concepts I added here. These. Harsha, I'm not sure if you feel like someone that could jump and add 1 or 2 things here. Welcome.
Yeah,
again.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So yeah, drop them on the board. Send me a DM if you have any ideas throughout the next few days or weeks and all about what else could we discuss in our spaces. I was writing here, for example, if we identify something like I was just saying, we could try to get the person from book.io to come over and talk to us about why they built their solution the way they did, and the community would benefit from having that open access to the person that made that decision. Because I would argue the reason they're doing it is to simplify things for the user. So because even if you just logged in with an email password, you have their wallet, the wallets that they generated, and so they're holding it for you. And when you're grown enough to your knowledge to have your own self-custody wallet, you can pull things from the shared custody to your own wallet. So yeah, let's leave this here for a bit, and I'm going to focus a bit more on the interventions as well. So one thing to say about the interventions is that we still need to create a sign-up form and all that, but everyone that's touching base with us so far, we're making notes, and you're already in the short list, so that we can reach out to you to sign up, okay? And so, like I said, we have here already for Andamio, we could do API developer experience. I think Simon joined for a bit and maybe he dropped off. But Simon has a poker game. We've spoken of doing a bit of front end Figma, or maybe even helping on the coding of the front end for his poker game. This is based on Hydra with zero knowledge. Oh, great, Simon. Sorry, I needed to scroll down. If you want to introduce your project to the group in a sentence or two. You're muted at the moment. Cheers.
Yeah, sure. Building the first decentralized poker application in the whole of crypto with Hydra.
So you did the market research for other chains and all that?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Thank you. We'll be in touch as well. So for GenWealth, we've spoken of gather user feedback about their UI, UX. I know that they're undergoing or planning a UI revamp. So that could be what we do for them. And notice I have question marks here for everything because it's really just tentative ideas. For ARP Radio as well, we've spoken of maybe doing a UI revamp for their website. So this gives you concrete solutions or ideas of interventions. We also had an interesting exchange of ideas with the milestone reviewers from Catalyst. So focusing on that, on the green highlight here, what I had to clarify to the milestone reviewers was that, it's basically going to be you approving that we were useful to you. So if we do an intervention and in the end you say, okay, this was rubbish, it's not worth it, you're not going to do this kind of recorded testimonial to us, and you're flunking us on that. If things go well, what I illustrated here is a bit what I've been telling you. We can do the app design and or the helping on the communications design for your project. Or vice versa, like, a bit of a mix of these two. Then for applications, we may start with a blank canvas and design the app UI on Figma, or we may just do touch-ups and a full rework of the user journeys. So here it's more like user experience, so the journey, and the first one would be more like the UI. I'm just spreading things between UI and UX. And here, for example, this is more like what I just spoke of us doing for GenWealth, where we'd be interviewing users to see how the users perceive the UI and if the UI is self-explanatory to them or not. And the output of this work, interviewing all the users, would be a detailed report, and we wouldn't be going in. So as you can see, I'm not trying to do the full pipeline of things for each project. I'm just trying to be concrete to where we can add more value. And I think this is it. So any questions so far? Guys, we have like...
Lucas, I have a small question about interventions.
Shoot.
So like what kind of projects can be intervened? I mean, the word intervention like confuses me a little bit, but like what exactly does that mean?
Well, you can call it help or support, or what I was just describing. For example, between the batch of people that we have on our side to use or to help or to engage in projects, we can do, like I was just saying here, right? A bit of UI or a bit of UX, a bit of app design or communication design. All these things are things that we can do. And if your question is more like who's eligible, I would say mostly any project on Cardano should apply. And then we need to prioritize and see where we can add value. Because if you just tell us, like in case of Simon, he was saying, what I could really need is that you do all the React. I'm not, that's okay for me to say, right, Simon? And you're like, we have some budget, but it's a 50K ADA proposal. It's not 2 million ADA or 500 ADA from 500,000 ADA. I need to batch out and to do some interventions for some people. I can't really hire a React developer and deliver a whole application to you, but let's see what we can do. In that context of our sort of budget, being practical about our budget, anyone should apply that has a project on Cardano.
Got it. And the interventions happen during the call, right? Or is this like separate with the project? So I'm assuming the interventions
it's like
somehow
different
help
project tracks. As you can see here, if we go to the milestones, there's one track which is the 0.1s here, which is like open hours discussion, like public discussions about, like this pillar here, the first one, where we're saying, okay, we're going to do spaces and we're going to have guests come over, discuss. So this is basically an agnostic to all projects, right? It's not going to be focusing on intervening on any of your projects on the open calls necessarily. Then you have another track, which is the knowledge base, and you have the other 2 points here, which alludes to the batches of interventions. So these could even be closed doors and not discussed on the open calls. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So I think we've covered most of what I wanted to share. There's some other points here, like for async communication, there's going to be a Discord channel in our Discord server. Again, if you go to links.45b, you can orient yourself to get into all of that. In terms of follow-ups and promotion, if you have any thoughts of where we can promote this, I'm going to be doing a Cardano forum publication as soon as possible when we have the landing page created and all those like sign up forms and all those things. Does anyone else have ideas where you would promote this, please?
I would personally promote it to like the African hubs because there are lots of entrepreneurs building stuff there.
Okay.
So we have some at Gimbal Labs. I'll let them know that you're doing this.
Okay.
But I do think Africa is a good place.
Okay. Yeah. So I had sort of that here with the community Telegram and Discord spaces, but direct networking is also more productive probably. Thanks for that.
It's a pretty wide net you're casting here, Pedro.
I usually go by Lucas, by the way, but
Gotcha.
just to how do you mean in terms of reaching the whole ecosystem, or?
No, I'm just thinking in terms of like you know, the sort of projects that are already listed here, you know, like where these projects can kind of best provide support for one another, maybe with relatively limited resources. Like I'm already thinking in my head, at least with the Endamio, ARP Radio, and Solidity, like the three of our projects, we're already kind of working adjacently right now. And there's certain milestones and things we would like to develop that I think the three of our projects align on pretty well. You know, I definitely think that the biggest challenge here will be in the developer resources end, right? At least just from what I'm hearing right now. And I heard some concerns earlier with Rafaela. I can understand them, I think, because I'm also kind of concerned as far as like, what's the pipeline look like? I definitely see that's where your angle is, right? Like develop a pipeline for businesses and enterprise to both get connected with the resources that they need, but also, you know, to actually bootstrap them and get them to a point where they are presentable or can stand alone. Does that make sense? Right. So, you know, it is a very broad scope here, you know, because some projects are going to need technical and some projects are going to need tokenomic, or, you know what I'm saying? Like the level of support. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The main part is to get people at the table, because like if we look at it, this kind of context that I was painting, currently you have all these committees and everyone just deciding like the Bible and the mandate, the commandments of the chain, but we don't have any actual network, or we don't have that much people just hosting an open meeting ground for people to come. So that is the main thing, and that's why it's tricky for us, you know, in terms of we're not going to be able to pay you to come to all these spaces or something like that. That's why it needs to be fast-paced and practical, and what you get from coming to the call is that you get to talk with other people and all that, right? And then if we can help some specific projects to but with some small interventions here and there, so the better. Even if we don't get to help everyone, because ideally or very likely we're going to have like 30 applicants or something like that, and we only have 9 slots, so it's 3 per milestone on these ones. But the rest that don't get, so the other 21 in this example projects, get to network with each other, get to maybe reach out to Rafaela directly, or people from our team, or from anyone's space, for Andamio or from Gimbal Labs. Yeah, so.
But then in that sense, I think I agree with, what is your name? Solidity Records.
I go by Shaggy or Sam.
Shaggy.
It's whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice to meet you. Maybe, Lucas, that definition can come from you, because you know a lot of the ecosystem, and you know like the demands. So how I would go by this if it was me, I would choose I would do something like a matrix to choose where we would have most impact, and then start advertising this as a hub where people can meet, and just say we're looking for 3 projects in the Cardano network that work with A, B, and C. And in this call, we're gonna gather people to talk about ideas and demands. Because then the ask is clear. Because for example, if it's design, I cannot help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I have a.
But that's the thing. Sorry, just to intervene a bit. Like I said, these 2 things are public-facing calls to discuss in general, agnostic to supporting project A, B, or C, and in a way agnostic to discussing the talent of person A, B, or C, right? So here we would basically create a space for discussion, not for grooming and pairing people up. That could be that could be, for example, something that we do on X, where people are just coming over and discussing. And on Google Meets, on the actual calls here, we would be doing the SME knowledge sharing. You know, SME is just subject matter expert.
But why not attach everything to the milestones?
What do you mean to the milestones?
It's a lot of data.
No, but that definition can come from you. In the first milestone, we're gonna work in projects A and B. And then the spaces that we're gonna use and the SMEs that we're gonna invite are connected to A and B. So it's like the whole community is thinking about A and B. And the portal can showcase projects and initiatives, blah, 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 related to A and B. Next, we talk about C and D. And then we go. Otherwise, it'll always be broad and will never help anyone, and no one will help anyone. Or at least I am like that.
Yeah. I think it's going to be it's great input, and that's what you know, when I come to these calls and ask open questions, we get responses that may surprise us, but it is something that you're shaping my view of things. So what I'm adding here is like, we're going to showcase our interventions, like the sort of like a report of what was done gets to go into the portal. And by the way, the portal was already going to have, it's a landing page for the whole thing. So it's not just going to have the content, it's going to have introduction of the whole initiative. And here we can also brainstorm solutions. And yeah, showcase what we're doing and brainstorm solutions for it. Does that make sense? Okay. I know I'm not really completely like reshaping the whole thing, but it is a nice input, and we're going to keep talking about it.
It's not my goal to reshape the whole thing, because I think you have a clear vision of what you want to do. And I'm mostly concerned with like, how can I help this? And I wonder if I don't understand, if other people understand as well, because you want to communicate to a broader audience.
Yep.
So that is me trying to help you, okay?
Yeah. Cool. That's great stuff. Guys, we don't have much time. It's time for everyone to voice their thoughts. Please jump in. There's no wrong suggestions or points of view. Jump in. I think Harsha was smiling. I'm not sure if you have anything to add.
No, I frankly, I really like what Rafaela suggested. I do think like if we actually choose a couple of projects, we can focus in, like say, for example, it's a DeFi project. We can focus in on DeFi, and if there are any other projects that are focusing on DeFi, we can help them out like as a whole group category. And then we keep moving categories as we move through milestones. But I don't know if that's exactly what the milestones require or not, by the way.
Well, in the beginning of the call, I started by saying 45B wants to focus on Web3, not DeFi. But that's funny that you're saying
No,
that.
that's just an example I gave. Like I didn't.
I know. So there's like a common ground between spaces and interventions. Basically, that's the main thing. we need to explore this common ground a bit. And it's always tricky. As you can see, 1 hour flew by today. That's why it's important that we have a number of calls. And even just on milestone 2, we're not going to be supporting concrete projects. On milestone 2, we're going to be defining the list of the first project. We're defining the list of the first cohort, but we're not going to be necessarily working on them. So we have time to define our goals a bit more. And yeah, the main thing is to keep people engaged and participating. Shaggy.
Yeah, I really like this. I appreciate the invitation to come and participate with me and the Solidity guys and ARP Radio. I definitely want to highlight one of the initial reasons I was so interested in this, Lucas, was that you know, the concept of being able to come and learn about biz dev for blockchain specifically. I think that is very important. Is that something that the knowledge base is going to be geared specifically towards, like just a list of resources and tools and stuff like that to kind of like provide that baseline introduction to blockchain? Is that part of the milestone?
It could be, because I've started seeing this. As you see, our website is sort of almost a joke copy of Cardano.org that we've adapted. And now that we're going to have this design.45B, it could be something that is more practical for us to add a blog post or something like that. Because it's so focused on design, I wouldn't say it's going to be texted at worded as a biz dev tooling, but it should for sure be overlapping with what I was showing you before, that Miro board of the Web3 non-technical onboarding of users. This aligns with that a lot, because it's like UTXO visualization or person understanding what UTXOs are. That's like these graphs of balances. These kinds of things could be ideally a reference for non-technical users to be onboarded on Cardano.
Hear me out real quick too.
Sure.
People like yourself, Harsha, some of the cats over at Gimbal Labs, like Nori, Odin's crew, you know, like y'all know the ecosystem and the players in the ecosystem in a way that a lot of newcomers, new business owners, enterprise, they wouldn't know, right? So like I think one of the best tools and resources you can provide is like almost like a directory of sorts. Not everyone in the ecosystem necessarily will matter to a lot of these new entrepreneurs or startups or anything like that, but they absolutely need to know like who at the CF is doing what Intersect has to offer, you know, what different grant programs are here, tokenomic support. And then anyone who's coming in to run a node, right, you're definitely going to want to support them or provide support as far as like who the technical guys are. Like say a node, we have a problem like we had last month, you know, like who at IOG do you go to ensure that your nodes and everything are up to date, right? So if anything, man, I definitely want to offer my services when it comes to like helping out with the directory and the knowledge base. Because I mean, coming through the committees at Intersect, I saw that is something we are sorely lacking in as an ecosystem. Yeah. And, you know, however we can support that.
You're in one Intersect committee as well?
I'm not an Intersect committee anything anymore. I resigned in February.
Okay, I just ended my mandate as well. And I'm still attending the Enterprise and Government Adoption Working Group because I'm interested about that, especially enterprise. I usually say that while CF is onboarding NASA and Petrobras and all that, I want 45B to be onboarding a lot of other small and medium businesses. So we can't get to onboard NASA or Petrobras, but maybe we could teach a number of small and medium businesses and maybe enterprises. But what I meant to say is, you have this kind of problem in the ecosystem, and I'm also trying to tackle that. I'm a member of this. Well, it was started like 3 years ago. Sorry, it's not this one. CBIA.io. So this was an initiative by a number of people in the ecosystem to. Sorry, it's not the one on screen. To try to improve things. We trailed this path that you're talking about as well, of everything is very disorganized and we need to sit people at the same table. This was even before Intersect, where CBI was trying to organize it's a bit what Pragma became now. Literally, we have Blink Labs that was here and that went and founded Pragma. But this is all just to say that whether it's CBIA, whether it's the Cardano Foundation, with this kind of ecosystem. I think it's this screen. Yeah, this thing here, for example. This one is more about tools. There's a Cardano Cube that has a directory of I don't know, of everything. There's ADA Stack. There's a number of things like those. And on this enterprise working group, they're talking about reworking what's being done here to have more content, or there's always the dilemma. In the end, it's very short. It's like the yellow pages, you know. And if you get me to talk about this, I can go on and on. But what I always feel like as a technical person, and I'm sort of a peer-to-peer maxi and a decentralization maxi. We need to realize, a bit like we were talking about the working groups, that's just a group of people that has their little short list of things. Although it may be hundreds of them in here, it's maintained by a specific entity. So what I would argue here, firstly, this thing is not something that I would be taking on in this portal because it's a huge thing. The way that I would try to, and I have ideas and plans to contribute to this, is by creating protocols, not portals. What we need is for like a bit like this CBIA has one funded proposal that I need to dig up that's been frozen, but I'm going to be with CBIA trying to add data visualizations, because here you have on the screen we have on is basically a lot of wallets and things like those. But there's another screen which is more technical things, like the Cardano node uses or indexers. So Vesper uses a certain indexer that uses the Cardano node. All those dependencies is something that we at CBI were funded to document. And this, Rafaela, could be very interesting for you as well. So we have the funds to create this compatibility matrix between all the tools that are in that kind of grid, right? And whether here we're talking about technical tools, or like you were just saying for business development, it's like who are the big agents here, or who are the teaching agencies and all that. Or for example, in our Grassroots in Touch initiative, we want to inventory everyone that's doing grassroots initiatives in Cardano. What we need, and Arnaud, for example, from CF, is a very avid defensor of this idea that we need a protocol where you can publish who you are, people can subscribe to you or endorse you or something like that, and eventually this kind of thing would not be a JSON file on CF's portal. They would be publishing to that kind of standard. That's why we invented blockchains, for example, to accumulate that knowledge. And so it's a very long-winded answer to say, okay, it's a bigger problem. It's something that we have a lot of ideas and one project funded to work on. Although this one, for example, Blink Labs and the ones that are still working on it, their idea is not to create this protocol on chain. It's for now to create the data visualizations here, and that's it. And then from this data structure, so if you go here, project updates, we have some data structures for those little things. This was me meeting with the CF guy about this. So if we normalize how you declare a tool and what are the dependencies of that tool, this could be metadata on transactions rather than data on the record here.
Lucas, earlier I had actually typed in the chat about rubrics. That's what I was getting towards, is if there's like a rubric or something we're supposed to fill out when we first meet the program, and that allows you to kind of collect the data points that aligns it with different groups. I don't know if you recall, but last year, Gimbal Labs and Odin was working on something called the Now pages, which are like, you can customize these and build them out. And it would be like your own homepage. It describes like your geographic location, what focus areas you are in blockchain and shit like that. I'm pardon my French, my bad. But yeah, like I think the Now pages and stuff like that, being that they're open source, that's something that we could use kind of as a pool. Like we could pull that data directly off the Now page.
What was the other thing you said? Rubrics?
Yes, a rubric. So like what
is it, like
what
this?
areas are you? It's no K, rubric with a C. But yeah, it's it'd be basically like you go to apply for this program, right? 45B. It's going to ask you like, hey, what sector are you in crypto? Do you guys run a token? How many team members do you have? Do you have developers, front end, back end? You know what I'm saying? Like what?
Yeah.
Right. And it would just be like that baseline entry data collection upon entry, right? And then that allows you to kind of use your visualizers.
Very interesting. It's something that we need to look into, but I'm not sure how we could include it in this kinds of discussions in the scope of this project. You know,
Check
it's a
with
bit the same
James.
answer. But
James
I
knows
have
it.
a lot of ideas, like we were talking about here. I've been an avid fan, a user of Noster, for example. I've shown this to you on a one-to-one call, right? So we have a decentralized chain where now I got my profile validated, for example. It's my, where's my profile? It's my own domain that's doing a blue tick for my profile. You know, I added a little file on the root of my web server for 45B.io, and that tells me who's the real Lucas. So yeah, I'm a big fan of, maybe my vision currently is to have free format structures, a bit like MongoDB, where nothing is mandatory. So the relationship, the entity relationship dependencies are not strictly enforced. And so you have free format type of standards to declare things. You publish them to a network a bit like this. And these guys are doing tweets, they're doing surveys, they're doing crowdfunding. There's this guy, for example, Portuguese guy, is doing this portal where he's using Noster to do crowdfunding and things like those. So, you know, anyway, it is a can of worms, but it's something that we could ideate about for sure. I'm not sure, we're a bit over time already. The main connection point for us is that you subscribe to this calendar on Luma. You can find it through our link tree. Again, it's really just links.45b.io. So it's the second one here, recurring calls for several projects. So now we're going to go into recurring calls for the design project. And I'm going to include it in there for sure to continue this conversation, but also I'm going to try to cover these kinds of things. Okay? Thank you so much. The ones that were more vocal, more quiet, invite people for next calls, please. And keep in touch, even if asynchronously. We're going to try to make things multi-format so that if you aren't able to come to the calls, you can catch up briefly. So this is why we're recording with Fireflies. Sorry, Shaggy, go on.
You're good. I was just going to ask which Luma one did I have to subscribe to, but it's on both of them, so I'm doing it.
Yeah, the first one is for one-off things like today, and the other one is going to be for the recurring calls of the project.
Okay.
Open hours, everything. Eventually, we're going to create something. You also have one?
So I'm going to subscribe to both for now.
Yeah. Eventually, this is my personal calendar, but eventually we're going to try to create something like this where you can add, you see here, this is my intersect calendar, and I can just see everything that's intersect or not, you know. So if we give you this kind of link, it's just going to pop up on your screen, a bit like the ones from, like, for example, now there's a developer open office hour call, and I'm seeing this one because I'm on the Cardano developers calendar. I subscribe to their calendar, and having this record here makes it show up in my calendar as soon as they organize anything. This is something I'm going to look into for 45B for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not showing you anything private in my calendar, but that's how it goes. Okay, guys.
Thank you again, Lucas.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Do you still have a bit of time, Lucas?
Yes, let me just end the recording by kicking off the Fireflies. Bye, guys. How do I kick this guy? Ciao.